The next principle is divine guidance. And I could have just used one word, guidance, but the reason I want to qualify it is because, again, this is where that missing link we've been intimating so far really is emphasized. By and large, we have gone to everyone else except God. We talk to our friends as young people, and our friends will tell us when we have somebody in mind, you know, he looks cute, or oh my goodness, she's got that asset and whatever. That's all the covers, right? And those change with time. You know, I used to have a six-pack when I got married. Now I have one. And it works. You know, it's a very nice, soft cushion for my wife to lie her head on. You know, if it's a six pack would not be comfortable. So that's why I have this. You know, it works. It's got a useful function, you know, going forward. So why are we talking about divine guidance? Well, the principle on divine guidance says this. Divine guidance implies total reliance on God taking the lead on all matters. Why are we putting it across this way? Is one of the mistakes young people make is to seek divine guidance only when they're thinking about finding the right partner. No, you must already live a guided life, because that's how you know the intel of having a relationship with God, understanding how He guides you and how He works. So you can't then suddenly be serious about your relationship with God only when you want one thing. And then when you get that one thing, then what? You see, even after you're married, you're going to need to live a guided life. Even before you get married, you're going to be living that life anyway. So that's why divine guidance implies total reliance on God in all matters of life. Not some of them. Not some of them. So when we look at the detail of this passage, what's fascinating when you think about what transpires is the servant then asks that question, well, what if the woman will not follow me? Must I take your son back to the land from which you came? So he's saying, can I take Isaac? Because if the woman doesn't want to go, can I take him back? Look at how Abraham answers that question. He says, well, Abraham was working on the premise that God had taken them out of that land. So if God has taken us out of that land, there was no way He wanted to risk the possibility of taking Isaac back just in case something happened to him, or he changes his mind, or he sees this beautiful girl and thinks, I'm better over here, right? So He's working from the premise that God has guided them out to where they are. That's why when this question is asked, Abraham then responds, beware that you do not take my son back there. That's a guided life. That's a guided life. He knows exactly where God is taking them. And they're in a good place. The land, that God said He will show them. Genesis 12, leave your people, your country, your household, and go to the land I will show you. So it says there, to your descendants I'll give this land. And He says there, He will send His angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about that principle where God foreordains what we must do. God goes before us. God goes with us. Now, if you look at Exodus 23, verse 20, 400 years later, when the very same people, these descendants of Abraham and Isaac, are leaving Egypt, God says he put his angels before them so that they would lead them all the way. You see it in 32, 34, Numbers 20, verse 16. Psalm 91, verse 11 says he will put his angels to take charge over you. It's not something we talk about all the time, but what the principle is when you look at human history and even your own history, God has already gone before you. For you, the future is sort of unknown. You are dealing with one day at a time and see what happens. We here, having this conversation, we kind of planned this according to the resources we have, and we're making this happening, right? There's a plan beforehand. God has worked the same way, except for him, he has a full picture. So if God has a full picture, he already has ordained the day that you can meet that person, exactly where and how it's going to happen. And so he already has that plan. He already has that plan. So if God has made that plan possible, it means he has also supplied the resources necessary to make it work. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So you need then to understand that guidance is about keeping in step with exactly where God wants you to go and how these things will happen. That's why he will ask again the servant, if the woman is not willing to follow, then you will be released from this oath. Just don't take my son back there. So the emphasis of not taking Isaac back demonstrates that Abraham was motivated by a much higher premise for taking such strict measures. Let me say something here that's important for us to think about. So marriage, as far as guidance is concerned, is going to be bringing someone into your life that together you can pursue where God was already taking you. That's what guidance is. So guidance here is not just finding the right person and it ends there. It's understanding, can this person come into my life and help fulfill where God was taking me? Oh, this is deep. Because why? I've seen many relationships where there was a beautiful young lady who had dreams and was well on her way, and she brings this dude and she gets shattered. Or you have seen, in some obvious cases, a very godly, powerful pastor, and then there's the wife. Right? You guys have seen that, right? Sometimes you find like, here's a sold out person, but they have this other individual there. Why? They didn't look at guidance from the perspective that Abraham does. Abraham was just not interested in finding a wife for his son. He was interested in ensuring that the purposes for which God raised him and his family for would be fulfilled, and the person coming in would toe that line. And how many young people do you know who were seemingly going somewhere with their lives, and then they got into the relationship that they did, and things started falling apart? So guidance, divine guidance, is a crucial principle that you need to think about. So there are marital relationships pursued with the wrong motives that can actually derail a person from his or her God-ordained station in life. And that's a sad reality, that you can really have somebody that looks like they've got it together, and then they bring the wrong person into that relationship, and they get derailed. I want you to think about that. That's why you've seen many, many heartaches in relationships when you introduce a Canaanite into that relationship. That is just going to destroy your life and where God wants you to. Somebody says it's better to wait long than marry wrong. It's better. You are better off single. And I know every young person, at least the average young person I meet, tells me, I want to get married. You know, just the desire to get married should not be your motivation. It's the desire to fulfill God's purposes for your life. That is far more important to be thinking about, because marriage alone is not going to be the matrix that's going to take you there. It's understanding where is God taking you. Because if you've got the wrong person there, you're finished. You're finished. You know, somebody said to me, a man is incomplete until he gets married, then he's completely finished. Bring the wrong person in. Yeah. Then that's going to happen, right? I saw this. If your boyfriend is always making you cry, you have to ask yourself, is he your boyfriend or an onion? Sorry. I thought, my goodness, somebody out there is having a hard time, you know. Yeah. So we really have to think about our relationships, not just marriage, but God's purposes. That's what guidance is. It's far greater than just finding the right person. Does that person fit where God is taking us? Are we going to be in the same pathway and going the same way and to achieve the purposes for which God called? I went to college with a good friend of mine, clearly had a sense of calling into ministry. And you could see just his desire. We used to go on missions trips together, and I had great prospects for him. And then he started dating this lady. Long story cut short, he doesn't even go to church anymore. We studied together. A guy that I thought had great things out there. And now he won't even return your calls, because he's tired of trying to explain what happened to him and where he's at. You know, the last conversation I had with him, and I said, how is it going? He says, one word, hell. And that's all he could say. Why? Brought the wrong person, Canaanite. And he can't even go from there to where God had cut out his purpose for him. That's why Proverbs 21 verse 9, look at this. He says, better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than a house shared with a contentious woman. You could say it the other way around. It's better to live at a corner of a housetop than a house shared with a contentious man. Same thing. Because that is hard. Now, interesting, look at the next verses, just same chapter, verse 19, just 10 verses down. It says, better to dwell in the desert. Not just the corner now of a roof. It says, just go. And I've been to the desert. A few years ago, I went to Chad, and I just wanted to experience the Sahara. So they took me 3-hour drive from N'Djamena into the deep, and I got there. My goodness, the heat alone can almost incapacitate you, because you know it's like when you doing your blow drying your hair. It's like you've got the blow dry in your face. That's what it feels like. And then that verse came to me. That verse, I have an appreciation of this verse more than anybody, because I thought, how do you live like this? How do you live? It's a harsh place. You know, I would love to do the Dakar rally one day, but I always think, do I really? Do I really want to do it? Because it's not user-friendly at all. And that's what a relationship where you bring the wrong person in will be like. Will be like. So guidance is much bigger than where we have, you know, I just want to find the right person. That's more than that. That's more understanding. Where is God taking you? And can you take those that you bring into that relationship with where God is taking you? So if you want to really process this, that's why the next principle is really, really crucial. Integrity check. Integrity check. What is integrity check? Integrity check is the test for the authenticity of personal qualities that are displayed voluntarily by the potential partner. I use a story of this man. He's actually a business executive. He was on holiday in Brazil when he was walking the streets, and someone captured this picture of him when he saw this woman in the street, and he just took off his shoes or sandals and gave it to the woman, because he just said, you know, I could just go buy another pair, but there's a woman in the hot sand and had no shoes on. I felt sorry for her. And the story went viral. He didn't mean for anybody to capture this moment. He was just caught doing what he loved to do, what his heart led him to do. And then the story became quite viral about this man just taking off his shoes, seeing this odd girl, and then you know, allowing her to take over. That's what it means. You see, you know, integrity is who you are when nobody is watching. In the story, you will see that the servant simply watches Rebecca without interfering. He didn't even ask her to do what she did. He just set it up, and then you'll see that silently, without him interfering, is how you do this integrity check. So let me go ahead of myself and say this. When you are dating, you create a situation where you're trying to impress each other. So literally, you are watching each other to see who does what. But the artificiality of dating is that you're already putting up a character to try and win over the other person. So by and large, what you see during a dating relationship, can I use a modern word, is fake. It's not real. Why? You have an agenda. You have an agenda. Yeah, even guys who don't like to shower, when they date, before they go, they will shower. Right? They don't like showering ordinarily, but because they're going to see a girl, they will. And then you get married to a guy who used to shower, and then, like, what happened? No, that was fake. Not real. So this, real. Integrity check. What are you when nobody's watching? What are you like? You know? So that's an important principle, isn't it? So now what I wanted to show you is this journey from where the servant begins in Hebron to Haran and beyond was 800 miles. And ordinarily in those days, it would take them 3 months to get there. So he's not investing in this journey for nothing. He really has to come back with something worthwhile. Think about that for yourself. When you invest in a relationship, those are the returns you got to realistically be thinking, what am I going to come back with? What am I bringing into my life? Because if you have to do it like the servant did, 3 months on a camel's back. I don't know, anybody ridden a camel? Okay, try it one day. It looks comfortable, it's not. It's really can be And it's an awkward position. You sit, camel as this hump thingy. Yeah, it's not nice. Try it one day, and then we can have stories to talk about. But let's see what the important thing. So the servant takes his master's camels, and then he departs. Where he's positioned himself. It says there he arose and went outside the city where the people would come, the young ladies would come at the well, and then from there he positioned himself to be able to find the right person without interfering with what was going on. Oh, that's the trick. You see, when you're thinking about a candidate, you need to observe them when they don't know that you're observing them. Oh, that's so important. He simply positioned himself so that the young ladies would come, and somewhere along there he knew he would probably find the right one. But he was not going to be sitting there and say, I'm looking for a wife for my master's son. Every girl seeing 10 camels loaded with goodies would live up to the part. That's the same way that when you meet a guy and you say to the guy, yeah, I'm interested in a relationship, what happens? They up their game. So the best way to do this is, if you like, is to group date. What does that mean? You do stuff together, you just get to see who is who in the room. Without you focusing on anybody, you just get to know who is there and what are they about. You will see the true characteristics emerge without you trying to send any messages. Just watch from a safe distance. Then he says, Lord God of my master, give me success this day. Show kindness to my master Abraham. That's an important principle. Let me tell you what it means. Who is getting married, by the way? Isaac. Isaac. Who is the custodian of the vision? Abraham. So, who should have the final say in terms of the appropriateness of this relationship? Abraham. It's not even Isaac's hands per se. What am I trying to show you? The final say doesn't rest with you even. It rests with the one who is the custodian of where your life ought to be going. That's God. That's God. So this is not about Isaac saying, I like the goal, look at those curves, and no. It's Abraham who's saying, my son, you know where God is taking us. And in fact, it's not even Isaac who is paying for the bride. It's the father. I promise you, your parents will pay one way or another, depending on who you bring. It may not be in monetary terms. It could be in emotional equity. No pay. Because your family's destiny. I have somebody who probably didn't marry as well as they could. They're very well behaved, amazing family. They're a family of doctors. I don't know why they produce doctors. And then the one guy married this character. And his father just said to him one day, you're ruining our name. Because our name represents this character is going to finish. She's going to carry our name. And his father was short of saying to him, you know what, change your name and go ahead. But don't drag this into our name, into our family name. This principle is so crucial, so crucial. That's why you find the servant has to pray. Pray hard. Here I stand by the well, and all these daughters of men are coming. Let it be that the young woman to whom I say this, give me a drink. But she volunteers to offer my camels a drink, that she would be the one. So what is he asking for? Oh, he's asking for a very hard thing. Let me tell you something. I'll show you a little later on, but let me go ahead of myself. One camel drinks up to 200 liters of water in about 3 to 10 minutes. How many camels did we have? 10. That's 2,000 liters. $2,000 liters is what she had to haul. The biggest pitcher that they could use to carry water with the biggest was 20 liters. So she had to do 200 trips. Hello, somebody? I know you're looking at me and say, those girls don't exist anymore. Yeah. But it's about the attitude. It's not necessarily the labor. I mean, today, if you say, I want to find a girl, well, you don't have a well where you live. First, you got a tap. But it's the attitude that says, if there's a need and I can take care of it, I'll do it, even if I'm not asked. It is that voluntary spirit where true integrity shows up, not because it's coerced, but because it's simply volunteered. That's the goal. That's the goal. And that's the guy. That's the guy. That, you know how guys behave? When you're dating, you're walking down the road and you say, I'm feeling a little cold. He takes off his jacket and puts it around you. He says, no, I'd rather you warm than me, and you carry on and he plays mancho, right? Fast track, 5 years into the marriage, walking down the same street, and you say, I'm feeling a little cold, I forgot my jacket. Oh, why did you forget it? That's the issue we're trying to talk about here, to redress that issue, so that there are no surprises later on in the relationship where the guy or the girl presented this one picture, but in reality, she's or he's there. That's what we're trying to bridge. So the best way to do that is with Integrity Check, is to actually push the bar extraordinarily high if where God is taking you demands that. Demands that. Think about it. Abraham had to say to Sarah, let's pack our bags and go. And she says, where, honey? And he says, I don't know. And he said, like, which direction? Or the Lord will show us. How many women do you know who take their bags and go with a guy who doesn't even know where he's going? How many? That is why this integrity check is important. Where is God taking you? And who can come? Because they have to have the characteristics of someone who is ready to accommodate that type of mandate. Are you getting this? This is so important. So the integrity check is, what are the qualities? What are the qualities? Are they prepared anytime, anyhow, to do anything? You know, I've heard girls sit there, they write their own vows, you know, and they take that vow that Naomi does, you know, Ruth to Naomi, you know, you'll be, your people will be my people, your God will be my people, where you go, I go, and so forth, you know. I was reminded, well, it was a woman to another woman. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But the point is, they will represent in their vows this very unconditionality to their commitment. Yeah, that's the story you get. And then the next morning, honey, can you make me a cup of coffee while I do this? And it's like, no, you make it yourself. Different person, you know. I love this guy who wrote, you know, to his girlfriend, I will climb the highest mountain. I will walk the hottest desert. I will swim the deepest ocean in my love for you. P.S. I'll come to see you tomorrow if it doesn't rain. He ain't cut out for it. He's not the right guy. So I said this already, during dating, because a couple is trying to win each other over, there is a tendency to be pretentious. Then, when married, to be normal. That is what we're trying to redress through the integrity check. Are you really what you say you are? Or are you really what you are all the time, regardless? That's why Proverbs 10 verse 9 says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. But he who makes his way crooked will be found out. You know, these days with makeup. Yeah. I don't know. One guy, I don't know, you heard the story about a guy who got married, and maybe let me tell the true story I know before I tell this guy. I was marrying a young couple recently, and so we've been doing the talks and all of this and preparing for, I mean, very, very stunning young lady, like looked really, I mean, she was amazing. And then a day before the wedding, we had one more meeting just to kind of make sure the rehearsal was in place and everything. And then I went to this meeting, and then I walked into this room. I saw this lady, and I says, where is this person? It's me! I could not recognize her. I asked her where she was. I'm serious. I didn't know it was her. And I'm thinking, this guy is going to wake up on his honeymoon and look and say, where's my wife? I am saying integrity. Who are you? What are you made of? I don't mind people making themselves up, looking amazing and so forth. That's fine. I'm really asking, who are you? Who are you for real? And that's what needs to work out. I like Titus. You know, I haven't done too much work in Titus. I just realized the other day that I need to do a bit more work there. But here's something that really stood out. It says, likewise, exhort the young men to be sober-minded. Or underscore that. He says, in all things, showing yourself to be a pattern of good works. That's the guy you want. How? In doctrine, showing integrity, reverence, incorruptibility, sound speech that cannot be condemned. And no one who is an opponent may be ashamed, having nothing evil to say of you. Oh, that is beautiful. That's your kind of guy. Look, it says, exhort young men. Not seasoned, powerful preachers or men. No, young men. This is the profile. This is the profile. That young man is a young man of integrity. The same should be said about the lady.